Haksakot Smear. Barbara and I have just come back from October the 7th commemorations in Canberra. 1 year on from the massacre of about 1,200 Israelis and others by Hamas, Islamic Jihad, Gazan civilians and UNRWA staff. It is the anniversary of the worst massacre of Jewish people since the Holocaust. Our hearts go out to the Jewish people at this painful time, especially the families who lost loved ones on October the 7th or during the war and who are worried about loved ones still captive in Gaza. We add our voice to the Bring Them Home cry. Our hearts also go out to any innocent Gazans who are casualties of the war Hamas started. In October 7, we were privileged to attend the Never Again rally on the lawns of Parliament House, Canberra, and the special commemoration at the Israel Embassy in Canberra to the sad lyrics of the song that was just played, October Rain, sung by Eden Golan at the Eurovision. We were able to light the candles. On October 8, I presented a 2-meter boomerang I made and painted with Om Yisrael High in English and Hebrew on it. The people in the nation of Israel live. We then joined the ACT Jewish community and youth Jewish students in an event marking October the 7th, Parliament House, Canberra, with Jewish MPs from both sides of politics. However, that is the Western calendar. On the Jewish calendar and the biblical calendar, the anniversary falls on Simchat Torah, the day after Sukkot, or the Feast of Tabernacles. The cruel irony of the massacre, rape, torture, and kidnapping is that it was on one of the most joyful days of the Jewish calendar, when Jews take out their Torah scrolls and places of worship and dance with them. I remember dancing in the streets of Jerusalem years ago with Jewish men on Simchat Torah. Actually, I wrote a song that I didn't record, and the name of that song was Dancing on the Streets of Jerusalem. So it is a bittersweet time of remembrance this year when Jewish people who have to face again on Wednesday from nightfall to Thursday nightfall, October the 23rd, 24th, Tishrei on the 22nd, 5785. The massacre was exactly 50 years from the attack on Israel on Yom Kippur, October the 6th to the 7th in 1973. Also a surprise attack was by Arab armies led by Egypt and Syria. Israel has a pattern of being attacked by Arabs and gaining territory, example in 1948, and in 1967 gaining Jerusalem, etc. We may find the pattern repeated in the October 7th Simchat Torah War of 2023. Simchat Torah marks the end of the cycle of reading the Torah and the beginning of the next cycle. So I see it as a new beginning for the Jewish people where they will be rid of the many terrorists who want to kill them and remove Israel off the map. genocidal endeavor. It signals a new chapter, a new era, a rebirth. At the government meeting commemorating the anniversary of the October 7th massacre, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu called for changing the name of the war from Swords of Iron to the War of Rebirth. Is Netanyahu seeing an opportunity for the rebirth of Israel from the Holocaust-like event of October 7, just as we saw the rebirth of Israel in 1948 from the ashes to the Holocaust? I would like to read 2 verses of the Torah portion for Simchat Torah, the blessing of Moses over Israel before he had died. In the book of Deuteronomy, chapters 33, 28 to 29, so Israel will live in safety. Jacob will dwell secure in a land of grain and new wine, where the heavens drop dew. Blessed are you, Israel, who is like you, a people saved by the Lord. He is your shield and helper and your glorious sword. Israel will prevail this evil onslaught from the Hydra, serpent-like water monster with 9 heads. We know that the heads of Hezbollah and Hamas have been symbolically cut off in Lebanon and Gaza. And as the next head pops up, it is dealt with. The evil Iranian colonial power in the Middle East has also been likened to an octopus, which has 8 arms, some say tentacles, but arms is more accurate. Iran is the real head, supplying the terrorists and training them. It rules or feeds Gaza, Hamas, and the Palestinian Islamic Jihad, Lebanon and Hezbollah, Yemen, the Houthis, West Bank or Judea and Samaria, Fatah, Hamas, Palestinian Islamic Jihad, and the Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine, PFLP, the Iraq, the militias, the Syria, the militias. We also have in Sinai, ISIS, Sinai, and in North and West Africa, Al-Qaeda, with Al-Qaeda praising October the 7th. While all are not Shiite and some are Sunni, the jihad or fight is for world Islamic domination. It is a civilization struggle, an existential struggle with Israel at the forefront, and the West is next. I am pleased that we are able to bring you tonight the interview with, as Barbara recorded, the Christian Lebanese political leader, 18, Sakar, and the beautiful song of his daughter, Pascal, and the presence of his niece that we have on here tonight, Cynthia. Barbara and I, in our Centre for International Reconciliation and Peace, hosted a conference in Sydney at the Opera House in 2006. We actually held it in a large tent or sukkah on the foreshore beside the Opera House that we erected. It was during that time of the Israel-Lebanese war. And we had a Lebanese demonstrators outside our tent with their flags, while we had Israel flags inside. Because of our close relations with the Israel Consul General, Effie Ben Netanyahu, we were able to secure an invitation to take our whole conference to the Great Synagogue for a service in honor of Gilad Shalit, an Israeli who was taken prisoner. You can imagine the security issues. We also took our whole conference to the Sydney Jewish Museum in 2 halves. The Israel government put so much store on life as opposed to the death cult of Hamas that it released 1,000 prisoners in exchange for the release of Gilad Shalit. One of these was the mastermind of the October 7, Yahya Sinwar, killed a few days ago by the IDF. And disgracefully and disgustingly, we have this leader in Australia hailed as a legend on our streets in Australia. How disgusting is that? Unfortunately, we have failed governmental leadership and weak and condemning many things. And we see continuously the glorifying of this butcher. Sinwar, he was known as the butcher of Khan Yunis because he killed Palestinians suspected of being pro-Israel, and he set up a special police force to kill them. Sinwar was in Israel, was in an Israeli prison for murder, and his life was saved by the Israelis, who removed a deadly abscess from his brain. Also, his family living in Beersheba have received medical help from Israel. However, he bit the hand that saved his life unmercifully. He is not a hero as claimed on the streets of Australia, who died fighting most of the time since October the 7th. He hid in tunnels built with Australia's taxpayers' dollars. How disgusting is that? And that of other nations given to UNRWA for humanitarian aid. He did not shelter his people, but used them as human shields to win the propaganda war against Israel. He said the more blood of his people spilled, the better, as it would fuel the fight. We have had a number of tyrants and murderers who have attacked the Jewish people over the years, and their names start with a H. Let me say that there is a heaven and a hell. We see those names of Herod, Haman, Hitler. We have Hamas, we have Hezbollah, and we have the Houthis. The last three will come to nothing as the first three have. We know Hamas in Hebrew means violence. I will end with a favorite scripture of mine, which has been used by Netanyahu. And it's the book of the prophet Amos 9, where he speaks in 9, 11, and 15. And it says, in that day I will restore David's fallen shelter, tabernacle or sukkah. I'll repair its walls and restore its ruins and will rebuild it as it used to be. I will plant Israel in their own land, never again to be uprooted from the land I have given them. Though it speaks of a future time, I will add Joel chapter 3 and 4, 16 to 17, as it speaks of Tyre and Sidon, which are in Lebanon, and Philistia, which is in Gaza. Indeed, what you do with me, O Tyre and Sidon, and all the coast of Philistia, will you retaliate against me? But you retaliate against me swiftly and speedily. I will return your retaliation upon your own head. Tyre and Sidon are in Lebanon, and Philistia is where Gaza is. The Lord also will roar from Zion and utter his voice from Jerusalem. The heavens and the earth will shake, but the Lord will shelter his people. The Sukkah. And strengthen the children of Israel. So you shall know that I am the Lord your God, dwelling in Zion, my holy mountain. Then Jerusalem shall be holy, and no aliens shall ever pass through her again. Shalom.
So thank you so very much for that message.
Where misinformation and prejudice often overshadow truth, it's crucial to elevate voices that stand for justice, compassion, and education. The Indigenous Friends of Israel International is dedicated to fostering understanding, combating disinformation, and supporting the Jewish community both locally and internationally. Recent events have highlighted the growing challenges faced by Jewish communities, from students locked in libraries during protests to children too frightened to wear their school uniforms. We believe the answer lies in raising awareness and compassion, not just for Jewish children and adults, but for all communities facing discrimination. Our mission is to stand with Israel, combating disinformation, fighting anti-Semitism and racism, educating the community, collaborating with Indigenous leaders, sharing Indigenous stories, advocating globally, connecting with the Jewish diaspora. Your support will enable us to develop a public education campaign through ebooks, social media, and mainstream media outreach. We aim to promote understanding and compassion. Expand our monthly education series. We host regular Zoom sessions that educate and engage the community. With additional funding, we can reach even more people. Strengthen Indigenous Jewish alliances. By working closely with Indigenous leaders and groups, we can create a powerful network of support for Israel. With a goal of $250,000, we can significantly expand our efforts and make a lasting impact. Your donation will help us spread the truth, foster compassion, and stand up against hate. Together, we can ensure that Jewish children and adults are seen as human beings, deserving of safety and respect.